Hi, I'm Diana, and this is Shannon, and we're living Pretirement. Today, we're going to be talking about the top 5 location-independent fears and how to overcome them. When people think about working from anywhere, we find that there's 5 fears that come to mind that we keep hearing about. The first is I won't be able to concentrate on work and be productive. The second is if I'm not physically present, my employees will slack off. The third, if I'm not physically present, my clients will leave me. Fourth, it will not be good for my kids. They need their bed and toys. And the fifth is the unknown. It will be dangerous, uncomfortable. I can't live without my files and folders on my desk. So we're going to talk about and dispel the first one today, which is I won't be able to concentrate on work and be productive.
So I'll start to speak to this because I have enough trouble concentrating in general. So I was actually very worried about this when we decided to go to Costa Rica because I would be beside a beach and I love beaches so much that how would I ever work productively? And so it was actually surprising that it worked out to be fine. But I think there were a few key factors. And one is that we actually started with a holiday. So you're going to a fantastic place likely. So give yourself some time to actually be free to explore it, get to know it when you first get there, to get that out of your system essentially. Of course, you'll have some time when you're working because you have that flexibility, but give yourself a block of time to just go out and be a tourist and really experience it. Once you've done that, then you can get down to business. And so once you do get down to business, you realize that, okay, I'm not on holiday anymore. I am just fortunate enough to be working somewhere that is gorgeous and exciting. So let me get through this work so that I can get out there and enjoy everything. So the next tip that we have is to really have dedicated time. So have a routine each day, just like you have at home. Have dedicated time to working every day, and know that that is the time that will absolutely only be spent on that. Once you do that, also know that then you have your reward time, which for me was, surf time. An example of it, of my day in Costa Rica was that I would start at 7 a.m. Costa Rica time, so that was actually 4 hours in advance of when people started working in Vancouver, which is the most of the people who I was working with at the time. So I got 4 hours of uninterrupted, beautiful, productive time before anyone even came in. Then I worked till 3 p.m. Not every day, I worked till 3 p.m. and I did that 3 days a week. And so that was enough for me to have the rest of the time to be completely flexible and do whatever I wanted. So at 3 p.m. I would stop, everything would be done. I actually have never been more productive, so I felt very good at the end of the day. And my reward was that I would go to the beach for 3 hours. I would go to the beach from 3 until 6. I would spend time with my son building sandcastles. I would go surfing. And I knew that that was there for me every single day. And I felt like I was living as full a life as I could in the environment that I was in. However, of course, you do really need to be careful that while you're working, even if you have that time block, you're going to be in a different scenario. So you have to be careful to minimize the distractions as best you can. There are going to be distractions, which there are in life anyway, but they're going to be different and you're going to have to adjust to them. So we recommend having a workspace that is your own where you can limit interruption as much as you possibly can. And I think Diana will go into a few more tips in terms of minimizing distraction.
Mm-hmm. And just to be clear, our workspace is not a rented office somewhere,
True.
But you have to be very creative with this. And it's frustrating at times, we've been there, but it's, finding an area and having the knowledge that that is your area to be working in and putting the parameters around that. So one of the key things for us, we talk about it a lot, is the actual book, The 4-Hour Workweek. So we learned 3 essential things from the book in relation to this in particular. And actually, these principles are essential when you're traveling and on the road, but also arguably they're really imperative when you're not traveling, when you're just in your day-to-day operations. So we're going to run through those. The first is do the important and ignore the trivial. So this is key to everything that I'm going to go through. Actually, it's not the first, it's everything. And interruption, and learning to say no. Sounds a little bit odd, but actually really think about that. Interruption is anything that prevents the start to finish completion of a critical task. And there are 3 principal offenders that you must recognize and address. So the first is time wasters. I love this one. Those are the things that can be ignored from your day-to-day with little or no consequence. And really think about this one, because we all have them, we all do them, and we all keep doing them. Because they're easy. So these are the web surfing, the emails that are unimportant, even arguably meetings, discussions between people, and phone calls actually take up a lot of time. So a quick key to that, to address something within this, is limit email to twice per day, and huge, turn off your auto send receipt. The second thing is what we call, what Tim Ferriss calls time consumers. So we were talking about time wasters, now we're talking about time consumers. Repetitive tasks or requests that need to be completed but interrupt your high-level work. So reading, responding to email, making and returning phone calls, customer service, it's different for everybody, but here are some examples. Financial or sales reporting, personal errands, all necessary actions and tasks, but we have the answer to that is what's called batching. So dedicate a time block to do all of these tasks together instead of letting them interrupt your high-level work. So have you ever been there where you're doing something really important, you're focused on it, and then you let something come in and interrupt you, and then you're totally off track, and then you bring yourself back focused and something comes in. So block your time off to compensate for that. The last thing is what's called empowerment failures, and it's instances where someone needs approval to make something small happen. So ask yourself, are you a bottleneck and somebody that's actually very capable on your team or your staff can actually do this without your approval? The key here is to stop micromanaging. Not an easy thing when you're an entrepreneur, but do it. It's essential.
So very practical tips, I think, in terms of those. And just, yes, thank you. And just to conclude, I'm going to take it sort of, up to a higher level for a minute. I think that we both found that we were really able to use the change of scenery that we had to enable ourselves to be more productive, more creative, and to really start to think outside the box. And everyone talks about thinking outside the box, but when you're literally in your box, which is your life, it's kind of hard to do that. So traveling does a couple of things that were fantastic and magical almost to me as they were happening. And one was that the travel really limited those time consumers and time wasters that Diana was talking about. So they automatically fall away, and then you have all of this extra time that, because you're an entrepreneur, you will put that time, at least some of it, toward your business. It's just natural. That's probably what you will do. But the more important part of it was that it also takes away all of those things, which creates mental space for you. And so that creates not only the time, but the mental space for you to really tap into the most creative self that you have, and put that and apply that creativity to your high-level work, which you cannot replicate that situation at home. And that really is, I think, the most important element of travel that we found, that it actually is such a benefit to your business, and it is a real gift to yourself as an entrepreneur to give yourself that space to be as creative as you possibly can be.
Exactly. Awesome. So we're going to cover off the other 4 fears in our next blogs, our upcoming blogs. But please give us your feedback on this. We want to make sure that we're providing you with some information from our experience that may help you. So thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye.